because in the status quo, because that religious school doesn't teach the atheism, then the students who are in there will have trouble after they graduate from school and in the future, and when they, like for example, when they get job or so. And to remove that trouble or that gap that they just have the trouble, then we probably to propose this motion. Then today I have 3 arguments. Firstly, what is the school and what is the school, and secondly, in the status quo, what is the harm with that? What is the harm without the teaching atheism? And thirdly, after taking this plan, how that emotional stability doesn't occur. So. But before that, I explain our arguments. We set the model, we take this motion in all liberal and democratic countries, and also we don't say in the education of atheism that we don't deny the existence of God. We just teach there are some people who think God doesn't exist or so. Then I explain our arguments. Firstly, what is the school and what is the school's role? The education which is provided in the school is is necessary because it is the preparation for society for the students, and also the education have other role, they remove the gap of the personality, some are of the each person, and also the education in the education school teach also academic skills but also the communication, and why the school is so beneficial to teach communication is because the school is the miniature version of the society. So in the school, there are the students who are senior students or the junior students or the same age students, or they are teachers. And also to go to school, they communicate with the parents, or also in the school there is also male and females or so. And why the school exists is because the communication skill is is really important. Just for the academic skill, they have students can go to the grammar school or homeschooling or so. And so because the communication is really important, the school exists and students have to go. And in the status quo, because in the status quo, why the government can intervene that situation is because in the status quo, the school doesn't teach the atheism, and it is the lack of preparation for the students who goes to the religious schools. And so, in the religious school, the students cannot prepare for the society, and so through take this motion, we offered preparation after they graduated from the school and they went to the society. So then secondly, why the students who go to the religious school that cannot prepare for the society is because firstly, I explain about the nature of the religious school. In the religious school, of course, there is the students who are senior than them, or senior or the junior or the same ages, or the teacher or so. But so they can communicate with such people, but just they are the same. They are just believing the same thing, same thoughts or same belief, and they don't have opportunity to know other believers or other religions, or they cannot know there are people who believe atheism, there are people who don't believe the existence of the gods, and there are no opportunity to teach them, so there are no opportunity to know about them before until the students who are in the religious schools go to the society. Then what is the harm of this is when they are in the future, when they students or go to the society in the future, then when they communicate with the people who are atheism, the trouble will occur, the obstacle of the communications will occur. for the students who are in the religious schools without any education of atheism, then they cannot understand, or they cannot have the ideas like there are people who believe like they can't think like the God, the idea, and they can't believe, but they can't think like the word like God doesn't exist, and so thank you, and so they cannot understand about the people who have the atheism, and also like and why it is necessary to teach about atheism until they are young is like after they become the adults, then they have like perfectly believe their one religions, and they so like when they are become adult, then they have perfectly believe their belief, and when they meet the other believers or other like people who are believing atheism, then they have much possibility to have a conflict. Yes.
If your logic is stand, the Christian people cannot communicate with the Islamic people. Is it true?
There like conflict I think like the problem is like when they like in the future, like what is the cause is, for example, like when people work then when they work within the company, they like some people have to cooperate with the other employees, and they have to accomplish the one task, and for that occasion like when there is like different thinking, and like the people who are either in religious schools cannot understand the other people or the habits of that or the other peoples, then they cannot communicate perfectly, and they cannot cooperate with them, and just because of the personality, they have like trouble, or they have much possibility to cause a trouble or misunderstanding of the other peoples. But if they know about their other thinking of the people, they just perceive of themselves like there are people, like it's natural, like there are people who have different thinkings. For this reason, we are trying to
I thank PM for your speech. Now we call upon LO to open the negative case within 7 minutes here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Religious exists in order to protect the religious people's thinking and religious people's way of thinking. So we proud to oppose this motion. I talk about two things in my speech. Firstly, in the first place, why the religious school can exist. Religious school is existing in the society. And secondly, I talk about why after taking this plan, we can't protect the religion itself. I talk about my one. But before that, I refute one point to the previous speaker. They said the religious school must teach atheism because preparation after graduate is not enough. But it is not true, because firstly, of course the children study at the religious school and study or communicate with religious person in the school. But in the habitat or in the living situation, there are many people don't have the religious thinking. For example, the neighborhoods. Of course, there is people don't have religious thinking. In such a situation, the children also can communicate with such people and also can know and touch such a way of thinking. It is not connected to the religion, and so there is many opportunity that children or students can know about the atheism. So firstly, the situation isn't not so enough, and secondly, it is not religious schools' role to teach about atheism, because the religious school this point is included in my first argument, and the religious school exists for the religious person. So, in order to protect the mental stability for religion, such school teach about atheism. Let me move on my first argument. So, why the religious school exists? Because there are many way of thinking in the society, and the government can't know which way of thinking is best. So, but the government can know that for the religious people, the religious thinking is very important. So, government leaves such a choice to such people. So, firstly, the religious school can exist, and why the such organization exists? Because the religion is to some extent very easy to be criticized by majority, because majority think that religion is very unrealistic idea, or the majority tend to think about scientific idea or such a realistic idea based on science is very is very correct. So the religion is easy to be criticized, but the religion is to some extent very easy to criticize. So the religious school exists in order to save the religious thinking. And secondly, why after taking this plan we can't protect religion? So I want to characterize the teacher and children in the school. Firstly, teachers. So teachers teachers is absolutely the person to teach the religious ideas to children, and the teacher's saying is absolutely correct thing children say. So secondly, children, as I said before, children tend to believe in what teachers say is very correct, and in this situation, if teacher teach about atheism to the children easy to believe in such atheism idea, and in such a situation, the core and the religious idea is easy to collapse, and easy. So the for children. For children, if atheism idea come to the teacher, children think atheism is also the correct thing, and so on. And even if children don't completely believe in such atheism, the children has no thinking. Children has some way which way of thinking is best, which idea is best, an idea is right or not. So to teach the religious thinking in religious school, it's very harmful to children. And so why this is bad? So why this situation is bad? Because the religion is completely based on the existence of God. So for example, the Christian believe in what God say, and Christian behave or act as the following God saying, or such church authorities say, and also the way of thinking is also influenced by the Christian thinking. So what I mean, for individuals, religion is the core part of individuals, and such people all lifestyle or all way of thinking is completely dependent on religion. But taking this motion is deny the core part of individuals, because the atheism by be taught the atheism by the religious school teachers, belief toward religion or belief toward Christ is wave and influenced battery, and so this connects to the losing of identity or losing of the purpose for life. and so this is very harmful for the religious believing people. So we proud to oppose this motion. Thank you.
I thank everyone for your speech. Now we call upon the EPM to continue the opening government case within 7 minutes here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So as my partner Chloe told you in her model, we don't teach that you guys have to believe the atheism or something like that. We just teach there is the people who believe that those kind of atheism or those kind of things. So that they talk about like religion will be corrupt or something like that. However, those kind of things will not be happen in our context. So today I have 3 arguments to talk about. The firstly, why the atheism is uniquely important to teach for the children, and secondly, after adoption, how this is beneficial for the children, or the harm that today's opposition talk about will not be happen. And thirdly, I want to compare the both paradigm. But before that, one independent rebuttal against the previous speaker. So she talked about we say that we cannot communicate with other religious people or the atheism people, and she said you don't have to do that in school. Like they can communicate with the neighborhood, and then they can touch the idea of the atheism or something like that. We think this is contradicted. Like what they want to protect is the religious people who just believe the one God, and they also said like even in their paradigm they can communicate with atheism people. So that this argument is totally contradicted, and that's why we think that today's context is like to some extent the conservative community. Like there is the neighborhood, all neighborhood is like Christian or the Muslim people or something like that. So let me go my first point: the why the atheism is uniquely important to teach for the children. I have 2 points. The firstly, she pointed out that the Christian and Islam cannot communicate in our logic. However, there is the difference between the Christian versus Islam and the Christian versus the atheism. So the Christian versus atheism, like we think that they can understand each other to some extent because they both believe in the God. So the both religion don't deny the existence of God. So that there is they can understand their belief to some extent. And however, the religion versus atheism, this is like totally different. All religion believes some kinds of God, for example, like Jesus or something like that. However, the atheism totally denies those kind of ideas. So this is like contradicts. Religion and atheism is totally contradicted. So those kind of religion versus atheism, like people cannot understand each other if we don't teach those kind of things. So this is a unique point of the atheism. And secondly, even if you guys say that the Christian and Islam cannot understand each other, we are happy to teach that there is people who believe in Islam or who believe in the Shinto in the the Christian school, so that is not the problem at all. So the second point, after adoption. So after adoption, we can teach there is the people who believe the atheism and so on. So the religious people just can aware the future. when they meet the people who believed in atheism and so on. And also, and after pre-adoption, they talk about the religious school will be collapsed because we teach atheism or something like that. However, even after pre-adoption, even in our paradigm, in the religious school, there will be class that the reading Bible or singing the hymn and so on. So that we think that those kind of the strong part of the religion or core part of religion will not be attacked in by just teaching the atheism. And also they talk about the children will might believe atheism or something like that. But I have 4 points here. The first thing, as I told you in my introduction, this is not true. Like just teach there's people who believe in those kind of things. And secondly, that they talk about the children will easily believe what the teacher said. However, there is also the parents who actually try to instill the religious idea. So even though they started to think about the belief about what the teacher said, there is also parents who can counter those kind of things. And thirdly, we think the children can know both existence of the atheism and religion, and they can actually think about which religion is good or those kind of things. So if they choose the religion instead of atheism, the belief of the children is more stronger. I know there is some religion who say those kind of things, but I believe in those kind of things more. So the believing or those kind of things will be improved. And fourthly, even if those children decide instill the atheism and they believe it, we don't think it is not problem because it's their individual choice. And as government, as they clearly told you, the religion or the freedom of belief have to be guaranteed for each individual. So the after pre-adoption, those kind of things will not problem. So the thirdly, the comparison between the both paradigms. What the opposition will talk about is they want to protect the religion or emotional stability or those kind of things. However, as I clearly told you in my point, we can actually protect those kind the religion itself. However, only in a paradigm that just because they're born in the religious family, just because they're sent to the religious school, in the future they have only just because the birth lottery they have to suffer in the future. Maybe other people don't have to suffer because of the conflict between the people and people. They cannot promote because of there is conflict between the people and people. Those kind of harm in the future actually occur in our paradigm, and only in our paradigm we can save those kind of children. So in terms of the exclusivity, we can actually save those kind of people, those kind of children. And in terms of vulnerability, the children is more vulnerable actor that we have to protect. So for this reason, we are happy to propose it.
I thank DPM for your speech. Now we call upon the ELO to conclude the opening case within 7 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 3 things to talk about. Firstly, I want to talk about why status quo is enough to know about the atheism. And secondly, I want to talk about why does it harmful in their paradigm for the children's future. And thirdly, I want to compare their side and our side. But before that, I have several rebuttals to their side. So firstly, they told us if they teach in their context, they told us they teach that the atheism is the only one idea, and to some extent some people believe. If so, why such a atheism remains to the children's mind? If some people, if they, as they say, if some people only believe or such a teaching way, maybe the children, even if they teach children know about such a thinking, so what, or such a thinking, they think such a thing, and they forgot. That is why even if they are context, that is not workable. So we think the context we should talk about is the atheism in some extent, or to criticize the God existence or so forth. That is why their context is not true. Secondly, so they told us that is contradicted because the neighbor to communicate with the neighbor or so forth. But we don't think so. Firstly, as my brother told you, the actor of teacher itself is different from the neighbor. Why is that? Because as my brother told you, teacher for the children seems like the rationally and correct information giver or so forth. And secondly, because such a teacher is the upper status, so the children tend to believe or so forth. But in the neighborhood or so forth, such a children can discuss, can refute or can discuss or so forth. So that is why there is a big difference of the teacher and normal citizen. That is why their analysis is not stand. And thirdly, they told us because the other religion also has the God, so they can accept or so forth. But it is really unrealistic. Why is that? Because for the religion, they think that their own God is the best and their God is the only actor. That is why even if there is another God, they also think that is the idea to deny our God. That is why for them there is no difference with the atheism and other religion. That is why we think that is really harmful. So let me move on. First point: why status quo is not a problem. As my partner told you, because of such a neighbor or such a social, there are many to believe that such a atheism. That is why there is an opportunity to discuss our sources, and even if they cannot know about the atheism in the young, after they grow up and after they go out to the society, that is enough. Why is that? Because if the children, they tend to believe what they are, tend to be influenced by such a thinking, but comparatively in the adults, they have a lot of experience in the life, but they have the rationality or so forth. That is why even if they know about the atheism, they can know, they can understand there is the one thinking, and that is the one way of the thinking or so forth. But if we teach in the school and if we teach the children in the religious school, because for the children, that religion is all for themselves, so they think that their idea or their mind, their identity is denied. That is why we think that is harmful. No, thank you. So secondly, why that is rather harmful for the children's future. If such a religious school teach about such a atheism, what will occur in such a religious area? It's really simple. Because, for example, if such a teacher teach to their children about the atheism, and the children tell about their parents. I heard about this idea or to the parents. If so, and parents is also the religious, so such a religious people, and they believe it. And if such a parents are strongly believe about that things, maybe such a people don't allow to go to the school itself. Why is that? Because such a school is harmful or to deny their religion. That is why also the parents don't. That is the parents lose the incentive to go to the school itself. Why that is harmful? Because in our paradigm, comparatively, such children can know about, for example, the mathematics or the science in some extent, even if that idea is based on the God. But in their paradigm, because of the atheism, that they cannot understand, they cannot study about the mathematics or so forth. If so, that is really harmful after they grow up and they go out to the society. That's why we think that is rather harmful in their side. So certainly have to compare on our side. In their case, their case-based scenario, the discourse will happen in the family, and that is good for them after they grow up the society. If such as as they illustrate such an actor, even if we don't teach about such a religion, there is a possibility after they grow up, because there is a room to think about another reflection, another thinking way. But in our paradigm, certainly such a blindly believes that religion will have the harm. That's why we oppose this motion.
I thank DLO for a speech. Now we call upon a member of government to open the closing government case within 7 minutes. Here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. And we think the atheism which is taught in the religious school is that it means that there are things which cannot explain in your religion, or so you don't have to be nervous or disappointed or something like that. This kind of atheism is not have bad influence on the students. And second, the teacher in the religious school don't have incentive to collapse the student's identity. So, they want to take the balance among the religious and atheists and others. So, I'll explain about my argument. I talk about why the religious school should teach the atheism in compulsory curriculum. Secondly, why harmful the school cannot teach the atheism. Thirdly, I talk about after taking this plan, what is benefit. Before my argument, I have some rebuttals to the opening opposition. Opening opposition said the students' religion will be collapsed, but we think it is not true because I have two reasons. Firstly, the point that they go to the same religious school is not be changed. So they continue to go to the same religious school. So their religion will not be collapsed. And secondly, the family teach their religion to their children. So their religion will be not collapsed. So let me move on to my argument. Firstly, I talk about the justification why the religious school should teach the atheism in the compulsory curriculum. Firstly, what is school? School is a place that that respects what students want to study as much as possible. For example, in the school, they can study the math or science or history or something like that. So in the society, the private and the public schools share the similar curriculum because it is need for the students. So it should not be destroyed by the religion. Secondly, the teacher in the religious school is better actor to teach, the good actor to teach atheism to the student. I'll explain this point later. So secondly, I talk about how harmful the school cannot teach the atheism. Because students cannot or become hard to study the subject which is against the existence of God. For example, the students have the possibility to read not only textbook of school, but also the other kinds of books. For example, the books read by Darwin or the Big Bang theory in the space. But if they talk other students about them, other students will protest against what they said because they didn't have idea about atheism. So because they have only idea about religion. So as a conclusion, the students will be bullied by these students. So because of bullying, they will giving up to get the education in the school. So they won't go to. They will not go to the school. It is so harmful for the education of students. Why this is significant? Even if it is a religious school, academic subject academic subject should be ensured because even if they are the students students of the religious school, or they are the people from the religious school. In the society, there are a lot of things. Wait for a minute. There are a lot of things that use the mathematics or science, which means the atheism. So, in terms of the education of other social people, so it is very harmful for the students. Thirdly, after taking this plan, what is benefit? I have two reasons.
Even without teaching the atheism, the religious people can know the existence of the atheism simply because, for example, like even they are Christian, they know the existence of the Islamic, right? So why so harmful?
I talk about in this point. Why teacher will because what is benefit? Because teacher will become careful to teach the subject. I have two reasons. Firstly, they teach them both existence. For example, the existence of God and atheism. For example, mathematics or science, something like that. Because they don't appeal only existence of God or not only math or science. So they can teach the both existence, both the subject. Secondly, they can watch the response of the students, so they can teach the students more carefully because, depending on the students' responses. So it's not a harm. So we are proud to propose this motion. Thank you.
I thank MG for your speech. Now we call upon MO to open the closing oppositions case within 7 minutes here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and hello, ladies and gentlemen. Why religious exists in the society? That's because it can give the people mental security, and uniquely in terms of compulsory education, we can maximize the effect of religion, and the student can have the strong identity in their mind. That's why we oppose. And opening side only focus on school and education. So from closing, we want to focus on the compulsory education. So let's move on to my argument. Two things I'm going to talk to coming from outside. Number one, I talk about why uniquely in compulsory education, especially 6 to 12 years old, we have to educate religious idea. And number two, I talk about after plan why we can't achieve the sustainable education. This is a counterproductive which may occur on their side. Okay. So I'll explain one by one, and all my rebuttals included in my speech. Okay, let's move on to my argument. Firstly, I'll talk about why uniquely in compulsory education we have to educate religious idea. Two reasons. Firstly, because students can calculate own identity by getting own value. After they become adult, they can rationally compare own value and other value. Okay. For example, children who get compulsory curriculum are very young and so don't have enough knowledge and don't have the way of thinking. So we have to teach basic knowledge and basic way of thinking. And so religious is very important tool in this situation. Why? Because religious teach us how human should be and how to think and so on. So by using religious, so we can they can get own value, and so they can calculate their own identity. So they can get and they can get other kind of thinking after getting old because they have enough knowledge at that time. So and have identity. So yeah. So yes. So yes, and second reason is that because children tend to get influenced by what the other said. Yeah, children is immature and easily influenced by what the other says. For example, children is immature and can't compare what they know and what others said, and tend to believe what others said because children don't have enough confidence to their own knowledge. And so children tend to think that what all adults say is right. So easily believe adults. So we have to set the sustainable place which they get identities. So that's why uniquely in compulsory curriculum and compulsory education, we have to educate religious idea. Okay, and the second, I talk about after plan why we can't achieve the sustainable education. That's because children can't get core identity. So yeah, if they don't have their identity, they can't believe anything. So they have a suspicious perception. What harm? Okay, in the future, these children can't believe what the others say. So it is difficult for them to work and it is difficult to live also. And and after plan why? Okay, I'll explain after plan why children confused. I'll explain. Okay, from two perspectives. Firstly, from the school, from children and from community. Okay, to harm. I'll explain. Firstly, about children. Okay, for children, because children get educated of religious from when they were born. Okay. For example, from they were born, children get religious education by not only parents but also other neighborhood because they belong to religious community. So this education makes the roots of the children and their base of thinking. Okay. But after plan, teacher teach atheism, and this means denying God. So of course students go to school to learn, and children tend to believe what adults say. So they believe what their teacher says. In this occasion, what happened? Two contradicted thinking exist in their mind, and children don't have enough knowledge to compare these thinking because they are very young. So children get confused and their identity is shaken seriously. Okay, this is harm of children. And okay, next second harm is from the community. Okay. They forcibly have gotten the certain value from government's certain value. So they have to teach for the students. And for example, these children in the future play an important role in this religious community. But after plan, children don't have religious identity and have doubtful thinking about these religions. So community don't work well. So in this occasion, all community members lose their place which they depend on. So this is very big harm. So we oppose this kind of thing.
I thank you for your speech. Now we call upon the government whip to conclude the government case within Ethiopia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The big assumption proposed from the opposition side is that in the religious school, the teachers actively denying the existence of God because they teach atheism or so forth. We think this assumption is completely false, right? As my partner told you, precisely because it is a religious school. Of course, the teacher he or she is also the believer of some religion. We think they will much care about how to teach or how to introduce the way of the atheism in the first place. We think that in our paradigm, even after passing policy, we can balance out the status quo, the problem. We think the status quo, the children are completely distorted their preferences to some academic sphere because the God is completely absolute for them, even in the religious school and even in the private or in the house or schools. We think we have to balance out this kind of situation in order by utilizing the religious school. That's why we are very proud to propose. And about this characterization, this clarification is the extension from the closing comment. That's why we are very proud to propose. I will talk about just simply one issue. So which side can mitigate the harm of the children's identity, which is proposed by the government and also the opposition side. So let me. We think. So let's start from this point. We think it can be this point can be compared about the possibility and the tangibility for the individual. Why is that? We think, firstly, let's clarify the government case, opposition case. The opposition case, this main case is about, firstly, opening opposition has told you, their identity are confused because of the teachers telling or because teachers telling is an absolute for the children or so forth. But this is not true, right, Mr. Speaker? Firstly, and my partner has clearly, and I had clearly told you, teachers don't have incentive to actively denying such kind of thing in the first place. No, thank you. But simply because they are also believer, right? For example, as my partner told you, they will care about the face of the reaction, how the reaction when they told about the science, about the evolution of theory or other kind of Big Bang theory or so on. And also, of course, the teacher have know how they feel because when they face with some contradicting idea. Of course, that's kind of situation they care about such children. And if they refute back actively, of course, they individually make the interview or saying so your praying or way of praying or your style of the religion itself is completely good, but in the academic sphere there is something contradictory which cannot be explained by the religion that is existing. So that's why your way of believing is not it's not problematic. Also, for that kind of situation will happen especially in the case of religious school. Okay.
Even if teachers don't have the incentive, because of the compulsory curriculum, they have to teach it. And if the teacher can change the way to teach, if so, there is no workability to their side because they can change the atheism or so forth.
We are not saying that we are trying to change the way of believing of the children. Because, of course, the believing the religion itself is okay, but we are opposing this kind of the completely unfair way of teaching based on the religion is affecting the way of studying of the academic sphere. That is a problematic because the school should be based on the preference of the children who have motivated to study in the first place. So then and also, closing opposition has told you the community will collapse or so forth, but this is completely unrealistic, right, Mr. Speaker? Even though, of course, if the teacher completely denying some religion, of course, such kind of will be criticized from the parents. Of course, the teacher will care about teaching about such kind of things. And also, secondly, of course, the children are still going into the religious school, and the family will tell about the religion, how important the religion it is in the first place. Why the community will suddenly, because of the children's confusing, their way of their experience for 10 years or 20 years will be collapsed in the first place. We can understand the realistic. But in closing government, in our paradigm, what benefit can be provided for the children's identity? Of course, as I told you, under the status quo, children whose incentive or whose chances to engage in some academic field are distorted inside of the school, right, Mr. Speaker? This is because, for example, the other children that the parents also deny and exclude what they are doing. For example, the learning about the evolutionary theory in the science textbook or actively learning about the science field inside of the school. But after passing policy, and also such kinds of children were bullied, and they have less opportunity to develop such kind of academic ability after they graduated school or so forth. But after passing policy, what will happen? No, thank you. Is about in our paradigm, teacher actively telling the autism, and they teach the difference between the autism and the religion in the first place. So what will happen is that they can feel that such kind of children feel they are affirmed by the teacher, and also some children recognize another way of thinking about some academic sphere, right, Mr. Speaker? In such a this is because they are, as they told you, they are in the compulsory education. They are much more flexible about the learning in the first place. So we think this kind of benefit will likely happen compared with that which is proposed by the government. And also, it is exclusive in our paradigm because these children cannot be run actively. If we keep the status quo, of course, the way of teaching or way of recognizing of the children will never change inside of the religious school because of the completely biased sphere. So that's the reason why we are very proud to propose.
round whip for a speech. Finally, we call upon the position whip to conclude the round with 10 minutes here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As long as we existed in the society, we can feel the other value, and then the confusion will may happen, but so on so forth is that can still be the danger. So so we have to discussing about as compulsory education, what kind of the situation we have to setting for the religious student in the status. That is the main issue in this debate. I want to summarize this debate from the three perspectives. Actually, how the children react by taking this proposal coming from the opening side of this house. Secondly, I want to told you that it's good for the compulsory education, mainly coming from the closing side. Thirdly, I want to compare which is the best for the for the children's future. So only one integrated in my speeches. Firstly, I want to told you how the children react. Opening government mentioned that they cannot admit other value, and then they cannot have the children choices will be shrink by in the state school, like this thing. Opening opposition told you by educating the atheism that they confusing like this thing. I wanna respond towards opening government at the first, and they open government side at the first. First 2 points. Firstly, every children religious community is not so radical at the very beginning. They say like in daily life they only believe in their own value, and they always deny the other value like the circumstances. That kind of the characterization is totally unclear, and then that kind of characterization is totally untrue. Simply because, for example, looking at the surroundings, my friend is a Christian, but still they can understand, he can understand the other value. For example, like they know the existence of the Islamic like thing. That's why their characterization is totally not true. Moreover, even without the education of the atheism, they can realize the other value itself. For example, like maybe I am the atheist, but still I know the other value, right? I know the Christian, I know the Islamic, right? That's why let's go. That's enough at the very beginning. But second of all, even if somehow the two radical person that's taking to deny the other value, but in that kind of circumstance, there's no difference between the status quo and after taking the proposal. Simply because they realize they stake on their own value and they deny the other value itself. Right? In that case, even they educate the atheism, but that kind of characterization cannot be changed at the very beginning. Right? In that occasion, coming from the opening government, doesn't make sense in this debate. So moreover, I want to told you that this portion is totally counterproductive for the two radical person. Simply because if they teach atheism, they have to deny the atheism, and then the parents more strongly educate for the children to believe their own value like this, to deny the other value like this thing. That's why the entire argument doesn't make sense in this debate. Moving to the nextly, I have a response to the opening opposition. They say like the confusion does occur, and then the opening government side debate this point that they can keep believing, and then the teacher is not so radically teaching like this thing. That's why it's not so problematic. They say like that. But first of all, the closing government say the balancing out is important. But first of all, what is the balancing out? I cannot understand the whole assumption coming from the closing government. They say it's okay to believe in the one particular value, but they have the what is the balancing. They never explain that kind of thing. Moreover, second of all, even they say that anything, but still the possibility cannot be lessened in the status quo simply because the children is immature, and then there is possibility that exists, right? But third of all, I want to say that there is high possibility to influential by this education simply because as my partner told you, children are immature, and it is time to cultivate their own value, right? In that occasion, the confusion does occur. Moreover, they say like the teacher cannot so radical educated like this thing. But in the first place, I cannot understand the assumption simply because in order to educate the dramatically different value, they have the core identity of the atheism and religious people is different, right? In that occasion, their assumption totally doesn't make sense. Moving to my second issue, which is good for the compulsory education. First, one point. Firstly, as my partner clearly told you, this is a term to cultivate their identity. This is surely important simply because they have their own value. They can realize the other value and then they can somehow admit the other value, right? They can compare my value and then the other value, right? In that occasion, in terms of the compulsory education, they can uniquely cultivate that kind of situation, right? So that's why you have to give a sustainable situation. If there is a dramatically different idea, we cannot maximize the effect of the cultivation of the identity itself. That's why it is so important in this debate. Simply, as I have already told you in the introduction, that as long as they living in a society, the possibility to touching the other value that exists, right? In that occasion, the confusion or not is so dangerous. But still, by this argument, we have to set in the best situation for the student who is still immature in the status quo. This is the role of the compulsory education at the very beginning. That's why our contribution is extremely good in this debate. Moving to start issue before that, yes.
Okay, so you said the compare between the other value is really important in the compulsory education. Then why don't think the comparison between atheism and our religion, which is also the value, is also not more? We think this is more beneficial for.
I want to say this is the term to cultivate their own identity, right? If in the computer education they educate the atheism, the immature children don't have their own value, so they cannot compare at the very beginning, right? That's why in order to sustain the best condition towards the student, we have to guarantee the situation. Moving to my third issue, I want to compare which side can expand the future in the children's future. The government side says that the touching other value in early stages is good, like this thing. But first of all, I cannot see the merit and uniqueness why it should be we have to educate the atheism at the very beginning. But second of all, there is a high possibility to confusion does occur, and then they can somehow some students cannot get their identity. That can harm that occur, right? In that occasion, there is no necessity to teach. But on the other hand, opening opposition or closing opposition side, if some students cannot be cultivate the identity, the harm coming from the closing government, that closing opposition, that student cannot be entering that job, and then they have always they have suspicious eye towards the society, like the harm that occur. In that occasion, they have to suffer mentally every day, like the harm that occur, right? So that's why we have to prioritize the sustainability of the compulsory education in terms of the cultivating the idea. From those reasons, we proudly oppose.
I thank opposition for a speech. Now all speech is over.
これ私の4位が
オープニングはここ。
そうですね。
オープニングはここ。画面はドアラ次第。画面がドアラ次第でみんなで見ながら。画面がドアラ次第。はい。ドアラ次第です。当然そうなるとご両親もドアの指示の評価次第のところは多い。
すいません。
お弁はそうですね。大和にじゃあドアの指示を下げた理由を評価。
はい。CG の話は設定するプログラムとモーションがミスマッチだと思いました。なんかその特定のサイエンスとかを勉強できないみたいな話だと思ったんですけど、それはエイシズムを教えることによって解決するものではないんじゃないかみたいな。それがプログラムだったら、これレジャースクールにそういう教科を教えろっていうものが正しいので、エイシズムを教えたからといって、そういうサイエンスとかへのアクセサビリティが上がるみたいな話は伝わってないと思った。なんで、モーションとレレバントじゃないと思って4にしました。
いやでもあれじゃない、誰か、まあじゃあ、反論挙手制で。復習することに点上がっていくシステム。これ言うでしょ。結局それってそのなんか、まあ、明確には確かに説明されてないのは分かんないけど、リリジョンが っていう前提に立っていると絶対に説明できないものっていうのは別になんか分かる話だと俺は思った。まあ結局だからそれ若干のウェイジータムパーソンのバーのにもよるんかもしれへんけど、少なくとも進化論はそのなんか進化論とかビッグバンセオリーとかはそのなんか宗教の価値観を持っている以上その絶対その理解できないものっていうのが思ったからまあいい話かなと俺は思ったのと、別に仮にそうじゃなかったとしても結局それなんか反ミニマイゼーションっぽい話も俺は比較的評価できたと思って。結局そのまあガバベンチが言ってたようにどっかで知ってしまった時に、例えばまあゴベンチが言ってたんやったらネイバーとかが知るっていう話で、GG が自分から言ってたんやったらそのダーウィンの方を自分から読むとかで知ってしまった時にどう教わるのがベストウェイなのかっていうのをティーチャーのインセンティブを交えて説明してたのが、まあ、CG だったからまあ評価できるプラス逆のサイドの話も包括できてて1位。
確かにそのティーチャーの話踏まえて評価するっていうんだったらもありかもしれないですけど、分かるっちゃ分かるけど、エイセズムを教えて、分かるっちゃ分かりますよ。不服ですけど。確かにその反ミニマイゼーション的な部分を踏まえて評価するんだったら、まあ、ちょっと上げてもいいかなみたいな。ちょっと上げてあげてもいいかな。でもなんかこれとエイシズムがどう関わっているかっていうところを説明していないっていうのはなんか
まあそれは本当に下げる意味はない
って感じです。でもまあ分かります。
ちょっと浮上。
ちょっと浮上。
どこまで行くかわからんけどちょっと
浮上です。まあ読んではなくてもいい。
ちょっと浮
上です。
じゃあどこを考えればいいんですか。
クロージング考えますか。
クロージングはでも結局ちょっと浮上するなら上、ここが4が多分もう決定するんじゃない。
いいと思います。
CO の言ったことをじゃあCO 結局あれやねん、インマチュアだけやねん、エクステンションって。インマチュアでも大から出てたって評価でいいよね。
はい、出てました。
大丈夫ですか。
アイデンティティとかも出てました。
インマチュアは、まあ、確かにそのウィップのフレームを見るとちょっと良さそうな雰囲気がするけど、結局どう結論付ければいいのかって。はい。
こうからって言ってたティーチャーと指導の関係がもうそうなんじゃないかと思ってて、
そうやね。
ティーチャーが力を持ってて、チルドレンがそれを教わるっていうのも分かりますし、ワーディングが違うだけで特にここから新しいところですね。で、なんかクルーチャルなポイントは、
1人5人ジャッジだと思うんですけど、5人2人。
もしかして部屋も違う。
マジで。
シェアパネルが足らないですか。
多分1枚ずつ足りへんけど、まあ、別になんか誰かに伝えてもらって。
はい。コミの方。
5人ジャッジ。
自分でコミの方いませんね。
コミの人が来たら、なんか5人思った案外5人ジャッジだったから、なんか1枚ずつかな、多分1枚チェアパネルとパネルチェアのエバシを持ってきて伝えといて、普通にコミルームに行ってもらって。でどうすんねやったっていうのにインマチュアが結局出てたっていう話やね。インマチュアはほぼ言い換えに過ぎないっていう話で。
ホームページも出てましたし、あとカレットペイトも出てたんで、
そんなかっこいい入れてもなかったしね。いいや。
じゃあ
ウケる。
ほんでそれが決まったと。
はい。
オープニングはもう決まってるから、すなわち
安全縦か。ガバメンですか。
いや、ここやね。ガバメンと比べてどうかっていう話は、まあじゃあまたドバラになるけど、ドバラの発言が出るからあれ。
そうですよ。
は
はい、
いやまあさっきのまあちょっと見えるっていうのは、まあちょっとOGの評価点。
さっきのちょっと踏まえてを入れてですか？
まあ別になんかOGの評価点をつけてくれるんで。
なんか OG はまあエイシズムを知らないことによってなんか社会に出た時になんか初めて会った人がエイシズムでうわーってなるみたいなっていうのはまあ分からんけどまあなるほどねそういうのもあるかもねみたいな。で私もともと CG がそれでモーションとレレバントじゃないっていうふうに評価をしてたのでそれと比べたらそのエイシズムを知らないことによって社会に出た時にハームがあるないしっていうことはあるのかなっていう感じのあれです。ですが、まあ、ハームミニマイゼーションとかの話を踏まえて CG を評価してここにある程度レレバンスを見出して評価しろっていうのであれば CG の計算もある程度完成度として OG より全然高いので、まあ、そこで OG より上にするのはまあありかな。でもまあ OG のケースがなんかないんでないんでそうなんです。
僕 OG4 位だったんですけどなんか結構立ってないなと思ったのがまずファーストリーとかプライミニスターが出たのが初めて出会ったやつとそのギャップやつなんかこうびっくりするみたいな感じのやつは別に他のリリジャスもあるじゃないですか。そのキリストから教えられた人たちがあれそんな違うことおるんやとかまさにその無神論者と出会った時の起きること。ここでそのプライミニスターでまずユニーク性がなかったっていうのとその隣人の話はまあそのリーダーポジションが言ってたそのまあそうこれ一緒ですね。これはまあ結構クリアに切れててまあユニークもないし逆パターンもあり得るから別にエイシでも書いたことじゃないなっていうのが一個とで次にプライムミニスターが言ってたのがなんか
身近に
カウンターメジャーみたいなのを結構出してくれててなんかこうやったらいいやんこうやったらいいやんみたいなそれが僕ら教えてあるんかなと思って、まあ、特にそんな貢献したと思わなかったんで
斜めの量が
斜
めを勝手に4と3で決めたこう忘れてた CO 時のなんか何もなかったのと比べるといいけど結局我々が気になるのはそこやこの斜めのさや何もない意味不明な OG と何もない CO 斜めに間違うみたいなどう比べるの俺には分からんっていうか分からんけどどっちやけど俺もまあ一応だから
一応、まあ、差をつけるとしたらその、まあ、ディベートの総括で何が重要なのかとか何をしてくれてなかったのかとか、まあ、何もないよりかは多少コンペアとコンパラソリーエデュケーションの最後のユニークネスを出したりとかまあその最終的にその生徒たち子供たちがどういうバリューを持っているか朝バリューした方がいいよとか、まあ、何もしてないよりかはしてるんかなっていう差ですね。
それが CO はどっちがしてた
セカンド
いやそうじゃなくて OG か CO か
CO です
CO の方が何もしてないかっていうよりは、はい、あれ
その例えばホームページとかやったら、まあ、アクターを分けてチルドレンとコミュニティに分けてその、まあ、具体的にその応募に勝るとはいかなくともそのアクターに分けてどういう感があるのか、まあ、こう聞いるかは分かんないですけど
インマチュアだからっていうフレーミングは確かにニューだったそのインマチュアの、そのティーチャーに信じるっていうところの自分にはあれやけどじゃあ後でいいやんっていうフレームは確かにニューだったのは感じるそれもいいと思うけどね
あげてもいい気もしますけど CO ってなんか CG に園芸であんまうまくできてないっていうのは結構気になっててそれに比べると結構 DPM はオープニングオポジションのケースにしっかりエンゲージしてて、まあ、ある程度理解できる範囲だったので、まあ、そこで比べて OG 上でいいかなみたいな
ただでもモデルが見ようって言わればフェイルを探していくと結構どっちもフェイルが多くて違うスペクトルで
コントラチックなとこも多いですしね
ってことにしとくか
一応 OG ってそのユニークじゃなくてもいいっていうのは別にリスク
確かにス
ラムとか他のやつ教えても出るかもねって言ってて一応そのリスクじゃなきゃいけないっていうただの否定は少し
一応ハードスタンスを取ったから評価は別に下がりはするけれども別に何もないっていうかもう今一話しかないっていう部分をイメージと、じゃあ最後斜めこれからはね、いやもう俺は結局その包括的に CG のあれがティーチャーが教えるっていうのはまあ高校のアイデンティティっぽい話もう別にその結局なんかその辺で知るよりマシっていう部分ぐらいまでは落ちたから、まあ包括的に見て C をよりなんかそのキャプチャーできてるのが CG かなっていうのが俺の意見ですが、はい、でも他の人は多分全部 O が上。
あ、本当だ。じゃあ CG のクソだったので、この人どうぞ。なんかおーってセルフコント出してるのがすごい気になったんですよね。なんか DLO がエイシズム聞いてもでって思うみたいなことを反論なかったので、エイシズムでそれで何みたいなって言ってたら、なんか応募のケースのなんかルージングアイデンティティみたいなのって結構自分で削っちゃってんじゃんって思って、でそれを気にすると応募のケースの方のって DLO が最後に言ってた学校に行かせないみたいな部分になっちゃうのかなって気がしてました。
少しいけますか。
この部屋5人やねんけど合ってる？そういえば。はい。この部屋なんか5人ジャッジやねんけど合ってる？
ちょっと後でまで確認しておきます。とりあえず
だからその分ちょっと伸びてると考えてもらって。
ああ、了解です。
違う部屋だったね。
違う説あるよな。
わ
かりました。
浮いてるオフィサーやから気をつけない。ほんで結局Oがセルフコントラっていうのをちょっともう一遍言ってもらっていい？
DLO が反応の中で、なんかチルドレンはエイシズムって聞いても、なんかそれでと思うだけで、OG が言うみたいに新しいアイデアだっていうふうにならないみたいなことを言ってたような気がして、なんかそれを踏まえると、なんか OO が自分で言ってる、LO が言ってたようなルージングアイデンティティみたいな話してた
それは違う。ディフィニッションに対するクレームや
ディフィニッションに対してですか？
結局そのモデルとしてどちらかというとそういうなんかこれでっていうだけよりもちゃんとセオリーとしてクリティサイズするっていうのを教えるっていうのを言ってるだけやからそこはそっちのゲス点を置いといて多分
わかりましたわかりました。
ほんで
わかったわかった。
今日入ってこなかった。
最後のエイシズムを学校で教えることで、他のなんか、宗教に関するようなパーソナリティがされるのかに実際その会になるのかなっていうのが結構思うんですけど、いじめなくなるような感じで、そこまで学校で教えることで、行くのかなっていう間の説明がまだちょっとオープニングの間から掲げてるのに、説明がクロージングからそうかなかったりとか、ちょっと心配だなと思って。
なかったのは確かに。ただでもなんかね、コンビニするっていうか、このまた大のまたも結局なんかそのアイデンティティって言ってるだけ感があって、なんかそんなにエバリューションされてないっていうのと、そうなった時に多分ユニークネスっていうか、そのなんかエイシズムに結構ユニークっぽく俺は取ったその進化論とかの話は明らかに取れるかなと思ったので、C を上げています。
大もインパクトないんですよね。
どっちもないからユニークネスとそのなんか包括的にしてるどっちみち起こるよっていう。でかなと俺は思っているんですけど、これでいいですかね。
もう CG が上でいい気がしてきました。
3、4で点数ははい、それですよ。そのジェネラルコメントとしてはなんかその多分結構ありがちっていうかその知らないっていうあんまりファミリアじゃない概念に出くわした時のディベートにありがちやねんけど、結局その単純化したもの、例えば今回のエイシズムやったらなんか something opposing to religious idea みたいな感じに単純化したものをその単純化したままそのなんかディベートの中に組み込んでいて、結局そこのユニークネスをなんか出すのがなんかおろそかになりがち、そこは結局リサーチをしろっていう話になるかつ、リサーチがなかったとしても、 まあ、想像力で補える範囲で補ってほしいなと思うねんけど、結局その単純化したままでそのなんかディベートを続けない、同じことがもみじ杯のラウンド2のビーガニズムにも言えて、話って結局そのなんかサムシングだなんか子供にハームがある何かそのアイデンティティみたいな感じに単純化された状態で、そのビーガニズムっていうのはどういうものなのかっていうのがあまりわからないままなんかそのラウンドが進んだりすることが多々あるので、なんかその知らないコンセプトに出会った時はまあ想像力を働く、まあ、リサーチしてない場合は想像力を働かせてラウンド終わった後にリサーチをしようという話です。なんか今回やっとなんかクリストファー・フィッチャンみたいな神は存在しないみたいな本とかを読むといいと思います。クリストファー・フィッチャンやったっけ、誰やったっけ、神は妄想であるっていう本、誰か忘れた。クリストファー・フィッチャンも無神論者で、もう一人無神論者なんで、はい、順位は、ディスカッション荒れたんですけれども、最終的にコンセンサスに至り、1位が CG で、2位が O、3位が、OG で、4位が CO となりました。まず順位を説明する前に、ちょっとこの回のディフィニションの取り方についてちょっと、考えたいなと思います。個人的にはこのディフィニションはまずそもそもなんかモーションと違う話をちょっとしてるのかなと思ったけど、このラウンドではまあ直接ディフィニションの定義的な話は出てないので、まあ評価には入れてないんですけど、なんで違うかと思ったかっていうと、そもそもいますってその宗教学校で言うっていうのは多分それはカリキュラムじゃないねんな。わかる？例えばそのなんか英語の授業を導入するっていう論題があったとするやん。そうなった時にそのアメリカには英語っていう言語を喋る人がいますっていうのは多分英語じゃないやろっていうのがまあ直感的個人的になんかトピカリティ的な観点で思ったことやけど、まあ、このラウンドだけを踏まえると、まずそのいますっていうだけっていう授業が具体的にどういったものなのか、ちゃんとカリキュラムって組まれてるのかっていうのが OG から出ていなかったっていうのが一つと、O から出ていたように結局オールだけっていうなら、まあ、ワカビリティがないなら、ただどちらかというとコンテクストっていうかそのディフィニションとしてやりがちなのは、まあ、実際にクリティサイズするようなものなのかなというのが一つと、で CG から出ていたのを踏まえると、まあ宗教学校の教師がまあ理論的でその批判になるかもしれないようなことを教えるっていうのが今回のラウンドを総括的に見たときに、取るべきディフィニションなのかなと思いました。なので、そのディフィニションを踏まえて、まずオープニングの比較をします。2位と3位なんですけれども、オープニングのディベートに関してのオープニング画面との問題点っていうのは、一つ目にそのエイシズムのユニークネスが使われていたように結構出ていなかったっていうのが問題点として一つあって、結局そのエイシズムっていうのがその他の宗教とどう違うのかっていう部分に関しては、その DPM から PM ではポイへの返しがなかったし、 DPM でも結局イスラムなんか神と神でシェアするから分かり合えるみたいな話っていうのが結構なんかまあ嘘っぽい。実際に DLO から言われてたようになんか結局自分のアッラーとなんかキリスト教の神は違うからデナイアルを感じるみたいな話の方がどちらかというとリアリスティックに控えたっていうのが一つと、まあ、他の教科を教えたとしても結局それがそんなに強くないっていうのを否定することにはならないかなと思ったので、その話自体がそこまで強くなかったっていうのと、そのローカルコミュニティ他のところでもまあ会うこともあるっていう話も踏まえると、別に実際にどんだけのクリスチャンの宗教学校に通ってる人がエイシズムの存在を知らないかっていうのは結構アンリアに感じたっていうのが一つと、もう一つは、実際にエイシスだった時にどういうふうなそのなんかミスコミュニケーションみたいなのが起こるかっていうのがちょっと具体化されていないかなと思った。それに対して、オープニングオポジションのコンストっていうのはある程度、比較具体的なもので、結局ティーチャーのキャラクタリゼーションがアブソリュートであるっていうものをもとに、結局それが正しい、結構権威として強いっていう話で、結局そういうリリアスアイデアと反するものを教えられると、その自分たちのアイデンティティがコラップしてしまう。まあ実際にそのアイデンティティがコラップしてどうなるかとか、アイデンティティはどういうものなのかっていうのが説明されていなかったという点では、ちょっと同じオープニングガーメントの弱さと同じ程度はあるんですけれども、まあそのティーチャー、宗教学校で教えるユニークネス、アブソリュートなものとネイバーとの比較であるとかを踏まえると、メカニズムの観点で、オープニングオポジションの方が、上に行くのかなと思いました。そのポテンシャルなベネフィットとしては、その子供が自分自身で比べて選べばいいっていう話もあったんですけれども、そこは結局まあ立論として出されているのならば、 強く取れるけど、反論としてはやっぱり結局それでアイデンティティがごちゃっとなるっていう状態がアクセプトできるかっていうと、結構特に子供っていうコンテクストにおいては怪しいので、そこまで強く評価できないかなと思って、オープニングに関しては OO の方が上です。でそれに対して1位の CG とオープニングハーフの評価を比べると、1位の CG の話っていうのはまず1つ目に結構ユニークネスとして強く取れると思った。結局このラウンドでエイシズムがそのなんか宗教に反対するものっていうふわっとした概念から結局具体的に神がいないっていうことは、そのダーウィンの進化論であるとかビッグバンセオリーであるとかのサイエンス的な話に落ちるっていう、そのよりユニークな領域に踏み込んで説明しようとしていた。確かに実際にそのエイシズムを教えたところで、結局どういうふうにチルドレンにとって、そのサイエンス的な部分とかで良くなるのかっていう説明までは別にされていなかったといえばされていなかったけれども、そのユニークネスの観点でオープニングオポジションの話よりも強く取れるかなと思った。まとめると結局インパクトに関してはどっちも説明としてはちょっと甘いかなと思ったけど、そのよりエイシズムに踏み込んだという点で、CG の方がインパクト、より強く取れるのかなっていうのが1点目で、もう1点目に結構これも重要やねんけど、そのハームミニマイゼーションみたいな話も結構強く取れたと、ジャッジでは思っていて、結局そのオープニングオポジションもオポジションパラダイムが自分たちで言ってたように、結局他の場所でエイシズムを知る可能性っていうのは結構あるっていう話で、例えば応募の話を取ると、ネイバーフットがそのエイシストやったらするみたいな状況であるとか、 CG の話で言うと、ダーウィンとかビッグバンセオリーの本を子供がその学外で読むみたいな話であるとか、そういう状況があった時に結局その起こるハームに対してミニマイズできているのがどっちかっていうのをティーチャーがどういうふうに教えるかのアナリシス、ティーチャーもビリーバーだからっていうアナリシスをもとに、説明することができていた。それはつまり結局どっちのパラダイムにおいてもハームが起こるのならば、ハームミニマイゼーション的なことが得られるっていう、オポのケースを包括的に、潰せているのかなと、弱体ができているのかなと思ったので、結局学べるであるとか、なんか学校で言ってたらいじめられるであるとかのインパクトは甘かったものの、ユニークネスとアナリスの包括性の観点で、オープニングオポジションよりも、クロージングガーメントの方が上で1位と2位とこれで3位まで決まったので、最後にクロージングオポジションについて話します。クロージングオポジションについては、やっぱりエクステンションとしてそこまで強く取れないっていうのがあって、結局主となるメカニズムっていうのがオープニングオポジションのティーチャーがアブソリュートでそれにフォローしてしまうっていう部分をなんか若干インマチュアっていうワーディングを使って具体化しただけに感じて、結局そうなった時になんかロールフルC クロージングオポジションのラウンドのコントリビューションとしてはやっぱり少なくなるのかなと思った。どっちにしろ起こるからインマチュアやめとけっていうフレーミング自体は強かったけれども、結局結局事象として同じようなラインをオープニングオポジションと攻めていたので、そこまで強く評価ができなかった。じゃあオープニングガーメントと比べた時にどう差がつくかっていう、オープニングガーメントのあんまりいけてないケースとそんなに伸びてないクロージングオポジションのケースを比べた時にどう差がつくかっていうと、エンゲージメントで差がつくのかなと思った。DPM っていうのは、LO に対して結構比較的細かく、微妙なモデルに基づいてたりはするけれども、それなりに細かく反応していたのに対して、クロージングオポジションの、メンバーオブおよびオポジションウィップっていうのは我々が今回比較的強く取った、クロージングガーメントのユニークなエイシズムに関するアナリシスの部分に関してあまりエンゲージができていなかったので、結局ロールフルフィメントっていうかエンゲージメントの観点で、一周のレベルとしてはそこまで差がつけれるわけではないけれども、オープニングガーメントの方を上にしてクロージングオポジションの方を下にしました。以上です。